right? He's blaming her, saying, you are not the person that I thought you were.
Yeah, exactly.
Your memory or the image that you have created, you have not lived up to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's even voicing the fact that the person is disappointed. You know, the great author Thomas Hardy, this was the center of one of his greatest books, which is called The Tests of the D'Urbervilles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people have to study this book in school. You know, it's a great classic.
Yeah.
Well, the whole theme of that book is this very predicament of guilt.
Yeah.
This whole predicament of that, you know, this poor girl Tess is dumped by her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they're she imagines that they have this incredible spiritual connection. When this husband finds out that she had actually been raped by a previous, you know, lover against her will, he drops her. And he ruins her life just because in his mind, this girl was violated by another man and therefore wasn't his possession completely.
Amazing.
And that the image that he had put on her of this perfectly pure, innocent, you know, waif-like angel was now, of course, completely the opposite side had happened. So individuals are doing this every single day in their own, you know, in their own world.
Yeah.
I've seen in England personalities, TV personalities who were just doing their job and were, you know, on TV programs. There was a guy once who was completely ruined his career. He was a host of a children's program, and one day the media, you know, happened to print that he was found downtown in London at some sort of bar where there was women. Now, it wasn't even a gay bar or nothing. This is back in the 1980s, where the guy just happened to be shown at a normal club, sort of drunk. No, I'm not joking you.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, just because of that one breach, because this guy was an idol for, you know, kids, his career was ruined, and he never appeared in anything else again.
Amazing.
So people are doing this on the most basic secular level. What do you think they're going to do when you have world-class minds beyond politics? Politicians come and go in a couple of years. What are you talking about when you have the makers of the new churches, the great theosophical, you know, colleges of the world?
Yeah.
My God, they can never be pure enough.
I mean, could there be, I guess, a plan behind this in the sense that we have people who are very, you know, aware of the fact that people kind of like their holy cows, so to speak. They are, in other words, you know, if they are setting up celebrity and first and foremost, I guess, political leaders and stuff like this, people are not going to, you know, believe that these people can be, let's say, behind a conspiracy or evil-minded in any way, because people are so used to kind of idolizing people who are in the limelight, as you say.
Well, of course, that's absolutely true, and because we live the kind of mediocre lives on the street level, working every day, it's very difficult to understand what really goes on behind the corridors of power and the kind of allegiances that people do need to cultivate. You see, in the inner world, you may have to shake hands with people you don't like. You may have to sit at the table. You know, we know that politicians have to do that. Well, in occult circles and philosophical circles, it's kind of the same thing. You may have to sit down and even, you know, chat and smile with people that you are absolutely philosophically opposed to.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. This is the part of the diplomacy that goes on in the circles above us.
Yeah, sure.
In the higher echelons. But you see, I've always been a believer that the greatest damage to the world system is always done from the inside, not from the outside.
Yeah.
So the smart person who may be on the inside, but may be a whistleblower, or he may not identify, he may be even born into the elite. He may be born as a royal. He may be born as a senior Mason or whatever, but he may not, and I know many people who are, I'm not going to mention their names ever publicly, but I know many people who've done incredible good. That it's unspeakable the good that they've done. Mm-hmm. And these are people who have been part of the system.
Yeah.
But they chose another way. Because a million screamers out there with their placards is absolutely no good. You know what all that does? That just makes those people think that they've done something good, and it pacifies them. So they can go home, you know, and put their placard in the cupboard and think, oh, I did a great deal of rebelling today.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. The people who really have the power to, you know, destroy the corrupt system work from within. They're lawyers, they're you know, politicians, they're statesmen, they're bankers, they are, you know, they're members of the United Nations. One person within the system who then comes out and writes a book or a memoir, or who brings, you know, people to trial or whatever. It's from within the system that the greatest damage is done. We must never, ever forget that.
Interesting.
So this is concept of what I talk about is the agent provocateur, the columnist working within. So if you are a kind of person who's doing that, then you have to put on the smile. You have to walk with these cutthroats, these death squad people, these Illuminatis, these Masons. You have to work right alongside these businessmen, these military intelligence men who are doing incredible evil. But you've got to work incognito. And that might mean that you might even, for a while, be mistaken by the general public as one of those kinds of people. So, it's very interesting to think about that, because some of these people that we may be seeing, and we are saying, oh, this person is, of the dark side. How do you know that? You don't really know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's true. Of course.
They could be working from within, and this has happened on numerous occasions in which people, especially in the media, and this is absolutely factual, that people even working within the film, within the media, who have been themselves maybe even taught in Jesuit colleges, or their fathers have been members of these Masonic lodges and so on, or high generals in the military. Then these other characters go on to make enormous changes because they're doing it through knowledge. They actually have insider knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. And of course, this kind of brings up another point that I was wanted to get to, and this is, of course, regarding the constant, I guess, infiltration that occurs with different groups of different kinds. Because I guess if I'm not mistaken, the Illuminati first, the Bavarian Illuminati, was created. One of their goals, I think, was to infiltrate the existing secret societies, right?
Well, yeah, that was the basic plan. Of course, the Illuminati is nothing more than a sort of a tentacle of the Vatican. Not the Vatican as a Roman Catholic would understand it, but the secret club P2, Propaganda Due. The Club of Rome, the Club of the Isles, these different secret societies that are operating out of Rome, unbeknownst to most Catholics. Yeah, it was them who realized that they needed to create a counterfeit foe, enemy, sort of a rival. It's better to have a rival paid by yourself than to really have a true rival.
Yeah, exactly.
So they got their own henchmen, one of whom was Adam Weishaupt, to ostensibly set up what was an anti-Catholic organization. And that would attract all these dukes and princes and scholars and thinkers, you see, who were absolutely, completely fed up with the Catholic system. I mean, more than you can even imagine. I mean, these are people who've already endured 100 years' war.
Yeah.
People can look up on online dictionary the 100 Years' War, then look up 30 Years' War.
Yeah.
Then you have your Henry VIII problem where he tries to divide from the Catholic Church. So all the world was really fed up with the way, and they had these peasant revolutions and peasant revolts. A lot of my work is dedicated to Thomas Müntzer, you see, and some of these people who, in their own way, stood up against back in the 1600s and even in the medieval times, people who tried to stand up against, the establishment. Well, so the bishops and the top brains knew that one day it is quite possible that their whole hegemony might fall. So the best thing to do is to create what appears to be a reflection, not a reflection, but an opposite.
Yeah.
But you pay for it, you fund it. And this is exactly how the Bavarian so-called Illuminati took on their work.
Yeah.
So that they would spend 100 years or so pretending to be an anti-Catholic organization, and it worked wonders. The plan worked better than they could ever imagine. So all the dukes and the princes and the intelligentsia of Europe, you see, start flooding into these secret societies.
Yeah.
And, of course, a lot of these people were already Masonic to begin with.
Yeah.
So when they became members of the Illuminati, it was only a step away where the Illuminati could then basically say, hey, we're Masonic, because almost everybody who's belonging to us are old Masons. So it wasn't more like they came in and really took over. It was more like they themselves were attracting Masons.
Ah.
And then what they did was, the smart move was to put in front of these Masons what appeared to be secret degrees that Masonry didn't have yet. So Illuminati always presented itself, the keepers of the lodges of the Illuminati lodges, they started to work through the Grand Orient lodges of Europe, and they always pretended to have initiations and knowledge that was even more higher than what a normal Masonic lodge, you see, would have.
Yeah.
And of course, this at the time was very attractive. You can't even imagine what obsession is when it comes to secrets. The idea of secret knowledge is a very, very obsessive concept.
Yeah, is it Albert Pike who mentions that in Morals and Dogma that nothing attracts men more than secrets, I guess, or mystery.
Right.
I think
and this is a key to in my book, The Irish Origins of Civilization, I go into this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The promise of secret knowledge, it was very intoxicating in those days, as
Yeah.
it still is today, and just the idea of privilege and so forth and so on, is very attractive. And this is exactly a combination of different lures, but the biggest lure was that this order was anti-Catholic.
Yeah.
And was ecumenical, and was maybe a little mystical, little Egyptian, little spiritual, a little bit debauched even, you can come and play with your instincts and stuff like that. And this, of course, was tremendously attractive,
Yeah.
and it had Venetian money behind it, and it had royal money behind it now. So, of course, you wanted to join because all the princes and dukes were funding it.
Yeah.
So all the, young men wanted to become members of this organization because, all the alumni were joining it, and it felt that it was a way to operate and, not be known to Catholicism. Well, guess what? You're in a Catholic organization. You're in an organization that's funded by the Vatican. So everything you do, everything you are is known. They're keeping records on you.
Exactly, yeah.
So we want to know why the world was in today, and people stand up and go, "Oh, Michael, you can't be serious. No secret society can just come in and take over."
Yeah.
Well, I say back to them, yeah, first of all, it didn't happen like that. And secondly, if you know how these people actually organized it, how they co-opted the intelligentsia of the world and had their whole profile in the palm of their hands, you better believe they can take over.
Exactly.
Don't corporations take over today? Isn't people screaming about the great imperial corporate takeover of America? And America is basically only 150, 180 years old.
Yeah.
And they're already telling you that within half that time, corporations basically own the world. How can you admit that corporations can own the world, but you can't say that in 2,000 years, secret societies can take over the world?
Exactly.
When for 2,000 years, all there was a bunch of feudal villages. My goodness, people need to wake up. Nothing could have been easier. This thing didn't come in and take over. It owned the world. It already had annihilated anybody who could stand in its way.
Exactly.
And it was already run by dukes and princes and potentates of the highest level.
I mean, exactly, and that's a really, it's a difficult concept to get around in a way also. But I think it's true, that they actually have, they have handed down, the entire civilizations, entire, the game plan of the industrial, revolution and all of this stuff also.
Oh, it's all been scripted.
Yeah.
It's all been scripted. And they're so brilliant. I mean, this whole story of you talking about secret societies and their manifestos, this whole thing of the protocols of the elders of Zion.
Yeah.
It's not the protocols of the elders of Zion. It's the protocols of the elders of Sion.
Yeah.
Right? It's the old Atonists. The Levites come from a city in Egypt called Zion, which is called Avaris. And that's where Akhenaten, grew up. So when you see, people don't, the title alone, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion.
Yeah.
Elders is a word from aldar, which is the tree, like an alder tree. A-L-D-E-R.
Yeah.
Right? That's a druidic story. So the elders or the elves or the aldars. It's like in England we have a thing called an alderman. You know that? It's like a mayor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
In Sweden, what's the name for your mayor?
Borgmästare. That's mayor.
It's for a mayor, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. Well, the next one down, or say they can't get a mayor, the next stage down is what they call alderman.
Okay.
Alderman is the old druidic priest alder. They're named after the 13 trees.
Yeah.
So the elders of Zion, and then you realize, okay, they got the druidic bit in there, then they got the Zion bit in there, which is Judaic, not Jewish.
Yeah.
When people are running around believing the Nazis saying, oh, look, the protocols is a Jewish document.
Yeah.
About Jewish world takeover. And then they're going and murdering every Jew they can find. What nonsense.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to read. It's, why, my goodness. This is a document that is coming from the old Atonist Zionistic, the true Zionistic, brainchild of the world takeover. It's there right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
The works of Theosophy are right there. Nobody reads it. You see, the real manifestos of world control are always there in front of everybody. It's always hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
But people are we have so many disinformation agents working in the conspiracy movement.
Yeah.